What? Or you can just empty it here. You don't have to take it home. So if you don't, if you forget to bring that notebook back, Megan's on the case. You don't want to get called out for forgetting that notebook. Megan will start a meeting. Did someone take a notebook home? What's your name?
All right, let's go ahead and get the meeting started. Like always, let's open it up with a prayer. Y'all pray with me. Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here today. We ask that you watch over us. We ask that you protect us. We ask that you bless all of our loved ones. We ask that you bless our community and our decisions tonight to glorify your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. We have a few things on our agenda tonight, but we do have a piece of business. Thomas?
I would recommend that we go into executive session to discuss personnel and acquisition, disposition of real and personal property at the beginning of the work session.
Thank you, sir. We need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, sir. A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Is that not at the end?
This is just Thomas's recommendation to go into it now,
Oh.
but it is. Yes.
You can't go in yet, guys, hang on. It's hard to just lock that.
God, that's what we pay him for. That's why we pay a lawyer, it's his job to shut the door. That's right.
Last man out.
But the food is not out, that door is not locked.
All right, we need a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor to come out? All right. Megan Donnie made that motion. And Sean seconded. All right. We need to make a change to this.
I just recommend that during the work session, there will be an amendment to the regular session agenda to consider authorization of an intergovernmental agreement with Habersham County for fire and emergency services.
Okay, can we go ahead and discuss that now first?
Sure.
Okay. You want to introduce that?
Yep. Late this afternoon, we received the final version of the intergovernmental agreement between Habersham County and the city of Demorest for fire protection services. There's been ongoing discussions with the county, between the managers with regard to this agreement, and the agreement provides authorization for it. It's got provisions regarding the authority and power of the county and the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement like this. It provides with the county's provision of fire and rescue services to the city. There's a provision in there that states that the county will not take the position that by entering into this contract, the city has failed to provide fire protection services as one of its municipal services, that the city is providing these services by this contract. And then it provides some specifics with regard to how the county will perform that fire protection, that it will provide it in the same manner and way and at the same level of service for which it provides to the citizens of the county. That the level of service would equal or exceed the level of service provided to the unincorporated area. That the county will take all necessary steps within its discretion to adequately fund, maintain, equip, staff, and operate Habersham County emergency services in a manner sufficient to allow the county to fulfill its service responsibilities. And the county shall, if practicable, assign an ambulance with appropriate staffing to the fire station facility currently within the city, provided that the final allocation of assets is within the discretion of the county. They've indicated they intend to move their ambulance office to that facility from its current location. The cost for year one, it would be $655,396 with a credit in the first year for rental payments for the fire truck and for the use of the facility of $120,000. So the total amount in year one would be $535,396. In year two, there will be a credit for the value of the gear and the radios that the city prepaid for in 2024 because of the asset list and the value of those assets is not available. Those will be determined during year one, and then the credit will be applied during year two. For the costs other than employment expense, the expense of employees and benefits, salaries, etc., increases in the cost year over year will be the greater of 3% or the CPI. Annual cost increases with regard to employment, salaries, and benefits will be actual costs. And then the city will make payments in 2 equal installments, one on December 31 of the year preceding, and the other on June 30 of the service year. The city is going to transfer its assets to the fire services depending on the nature of the asset. As indicated, the fire truck and the facility will be transferred to the city or transferred to the county. They have an exclusive license to use all of the assets of the fire department. They will have both parties will retain an insurable interest in those assets that are insurable, and then after 5 years, the fire truck will be transferred to the county. They will be responsible for regular maintenance. If there is any repair required beyond regular maintenance, that would remain the responsibility of the city. Either party can terminate the agreement pursuant to, there's a termination provision in the agreement. Basically, the termination provision requires that notice be given by June 30 of the year preceding the desired year to terminate, and then the remainder, well, there's one other material term other than the normal contract will in place you see in intergovernmental agreement. City fire personnel are entitled to apply for employment with the county and will be considered, I mean, the county's normal personnel policies concerning recruitment for new positions. And then the remaining provisions are, again, typically boilerplate. Parties can't sign this agreement. Governing law is the state of Georgia, and each party will make sure they follow E-Verify in Title VI. If there's some, you've seen that these provisions in contracts, if there's a war, if there's a pandemic, if there's terrorism, what have you, that it suspends, need to perform in as far as necessary as a result of that. That it's the entire agreement, amendments have to be in writing. That if the court of competent jurisdiction determines that any provision is unenforceable, that provision will be severed. The agreement was jointly drafted and negotiated by the parties. The notice provision, a provision that says there's no third-party rights that arise out of this agreement, and then a representation by both parties if they have the authority to execute this agreement. Then there's Exhibit A, which is the budget for year one, and Exhibit B, which is the fire service assets list that we have.
Thank you for that. Council, I don't have anything you'd like to add or discuss. We do have copies of these if anyone would like.
I'm gonna say that the last payment on the engine is due in March, $94,000. And that will be the final payment.
Sorry, I thought you were coming.
Let's move on to discussion of the water tank and cost analysis of the Bear Gap tank.
So Mayor, we'll have Massey Hughes here to speak on behalf of American Tank, and Brian will be able to add in also. And how long have we had a relationship with you and your company on our other tanks?
I've been working with Brian since 2016, so 10 years.
Throw out a few names of other municipalities that you're working around us.
Baldwin, Cleveland, White County, Hiawassee, Young Harris is deciding tonight, Royston, Houston, Brazelton, Livonia, Helen. It's a pretty long list.
Good. And what we have here, before you go into it, just to describe Bear Gap and what's our goal there. And then you can go into.
So Bear Gap is a concrete ground storage tank, 500,000 gallons. It's a different animal because it's concrete. I'll talk about that in some details. We currently maintain all of your tanks, which are 4 of them are steel elevated big ones, and the other 3 are concrete ground storage tanks that are on an inspection only program. Bear Gap has got some issues on the roof. I'll talk about those issues here shortly.
Okay.
We want to jump into this. Well, first of all, I appreciate you all allowing me to take time to give you a presentation. A little bit about myself. I've been doing this for over 18 years. I'm retired military. I flew helicopters for the Navy for 21 years. I've been doing this for 18. I apologize for my voice. I went hoarse on Labor Day of 23, and it never came back.
Never came back.
I'm seeing memory. I'm getting shots in the throat.
We'll make it a little easier for you there.
This may help a little bit. So it's been quite a challenge. Sometimes it gets better, sometimes it doesn't. And this really sounds pretty good. I should carry one of these around all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in real quick. As our name implies, we're American owned. We're a professional service company that we deals specifically in tank maintenance. We're Georgia-based, we're only 3 hours from you guys. Actually, I'm 3 hours. My crew is about probably 2.5. We focused ourselves on pride and excellence in the water tank maintenance. That's all we do. Steel, concrete, above ground, below ground. My team has over 250 years of experience. Like I said, I've been doing it for 18 years. I've got inspectors that have been doing this for over 40 years. So we take a lot of pride in our experience. We build business relationships based on trust and integrity, so our word and our handshake actually means something. We take a lot of pride in that. We are not a nationwide company. We're focused in the Southeast. So if you drew a line from basically Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, Southeast, you've heard this before. I used to be able to say Southeastern Conference, but I can't say that anymore. Oklahoma screwed that up. And they screwed up my weekend 2 weekends ago, too. We currently maintain over 1,402 tanks under the professional service maintenance program, and that number will be over 1,500 by the end of the year. Our mission statement, highest quality service, customer satisfaction at the right price, I'll talk about those. One of the things that we are focused on is customer service. What we do every day is dangerous, so safety is paramount, but what you see every day is for Brian being able to reach out and get a hold of somebody is customer service. And I've told my customers for the last 18 years, I'm available 24/7, and I stand behind that. And so does our company. Professional and quality work, we know that bad news travels faster than good news, so we don't want bad news. We do our best to have professional and quality work, and I think over the last 10 years, we've proven that self, and Brian's a tough customer to deal with too, so I've proven myself there. And price. It doesn't matter if you've got 1 tank or 20 tanks. Price is always a challenge because maintaining your infrastructure becomes very, very expensive. And it's ongoing, and it's never going to get cheaper. And if you're familiar with the water industry, as a whole, nationwide, we are trillions of dollars in debt or underfunded for what needs to be done with the water industry. As far as capabilities, we can do anything with water tanks, above ground, below ground, steel, concrete, tank maintenance programs, exterior, interior renovations, mixing systems, logos, you name it. As far as the tank maintenance or asset management program is designed, it's built around what AWWA, which is American Water Works Association, is focused on, and that's safety, sanitary, structural, coatings, and security. All of those things could be very, very expensive if they're not maintained properly on a proactive means of maintenance. As far as a quick summary, I mentioned earlier, we currently maintain 7 of your tanks under the professional service tank asset management program. It's comprehensive tank maintenance. Your fees are fixed. So in 2016, when you guys went under agreement, your fees were locked in. So if I were to go price that today, it would be a significant difference compared to what you're paying from 16. And those fees continue, and I'll show you a working fee schedule for Bear Gap. But you're protected against any future increases as far as the industry, labor, fuel, and all that. We do inspections every year. We do washouts every other year. It's proactive short and long-term maintenance. We handle all your future exteriors and interior renovations on all your tanks. Almost all your tanks have had exteriors and interior renovations in them. As far as the steel goes, I was just talking to Brian earlier. We've got some renovations coming up next year. We've got 3 of them actually. Bay Core interior and Dix Hill is going to be exterior, interior, complete renovations. So those tanks will be redone as well. Emergency service, and the bottom line for you all is hassle-free tank maintenance. So I'm going to jump in real quick. So concrete is different than steel because concrete is very unpredictable. Steel is very predictable. If you coat it, if you keep it coated, it'll last forever. People have asked me how long will a steel tank will stand. We've got tanks from the 1800s still in service. So if they're coated and maintained properly, they will stay in service much longer than we will. Concrete is a little different. It's porous. There's a lot of variables that go into it. You know, when it was poured, the type of concrete, and there's different kinds of failures. Your tank in general is in good shape overall, but you've got some issues on the roof, and you're starting to see some issues on the sidewalls. This is just showing the roof. So at some point during the life of this tank, I'm not sure when, I'm not sure if Brian knows, somebody put almost like an asphalt coating on this roof. And it's failing, it's cracking. This is just one picture of it. And you'll see it occurring all over the roof of the tank. This is kind of looking at it from different directions. Those things you see are vents. But you got a bunch of areas where you've got problems with the coatings or whatever they had put on this tank. We actually had Tnemic, which is #1 in the coatings industry, come in and look at this tank and give us their recommendation based on what they found after we inspected it. We sent them up as a follow-on. You'll see that red box. You'll see a bunch of failures. That's it blown up. So whatever coatings they put on it, they're failing. And they've reached whatever life expectancy they had. So it all needs to come off, which is a pretty extensive job. And there's a special 3-coat system that will go on this tank. This is more of the roof. So it's a recurring problem all the way through on the roof. There's an issue right there. That mechanism right there is your target gauge assembly. There's a pulley and cable in there. It shows Brian the level of the tank. So just some repeat pictures of this. So this are the sidewalls. So obviously the sidewalls are a little better condition than the roof, but you start to see those lines and those cracks. What happens with concrete during the winter, you get moisture in the concrete. You start getting freeze thaw. The moisture freezes, and then the concrete starts to crack. It's not major structural problems. It's just you start getting failures in concrete, just like you would a sidewalk or a driveway. These tanks will do the same thing. In order to help prevent some of that and extend the life expectancy of these tanks, coating the exterior will help protect these tanks and provide longer stability. This is just another sidewall. You can kind of see the same thing. Some of the minor structural cracks that are occurring, not structural, but minor cracks that are occurring on the exterior surface. What happens is this is where moisture is seeping through, and what will happen is you'll start to get calcification. And these things will be big white chunks of like calcium that's building on the outside of these tanks. And if you don't coat them, that'll create more work and more problems for the concrete. You'll start to see some staining as well. The black is staining and discoloration on the concrete. That's the roof. You can still see a little more there. There's your target gauge. And that's just a corner of those two sidewalls. So a real quick overview of the tank. On the inside, so concrete tanks are generally not coated on the interior. So we did a washout on this tank. The interior coatings are fine, or the interior concrete is fine. There comes a time in the life of a concrete tank where the interior will need to be lined, but you're not there yet on this tank. It could be 5 years, it could be 20 years. So we're not recommending an interior, but we are strongly recommending the exterior coatings be done to prolong the life of the tank. Real quick, what I want to show you is a comparison. The traditional model of maintaining a tank on the left and our maintenance program on the right. Traditional model, you got to get an engineer involved, which is going to cost you money. Coatings manufacturer, which we use anemic, contractors, and then inspectors. One of the problems with this model is you get a bunch of finger pointing and nobody's taking responsibility. So at the end of the day, you get basically a 1-year warranty, if that, and nobody's assuming the risk and responsibility. And it's extra money. Under our model, you're the tank owner, your tank, our problem. We assume all the risk and liability, and you're under full warranty as long as your tank is under a maintenance program. On these steel tanks, if I painted the hospital tank a couple years ago and it starts to fail, say this year in the bottom of the bowl, we are responsible for that. We will come repair that. It does not cost you all anything. You're fully covered. So that same example would go for the exterior on this tank. This is just another model to show the exterior needs to be done in year 1. It's going to need to be done again in year 10. The top being the traditional model, the bottom being a maintenance program. We'll do the exterior in 10. We do washouts every 2 years, visuals every year, emergency services, and lifetime warranty. So as long as you're in the program, those coatings you're protected under a warranty. You can see from this diagram with the full service maintenance program on the bottom and the traditional model on the top, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck. And I'm going to show you that example here using actual dollars here in a moment. So we assume all the risk and liability for maintenance of your tanks, inspections every year with detailed reports. So on this particular model, your renovations are spread over 3 years. There's no cost to do that. Your fees are fixed for 6 years. We're capping inflation, so it doesn't matter what happens 10 years from now, your inflation is capped. Future exterior renovations built in. Typically on concrete, it's about 10 years, but we throw a window about every 8 to 10 years on the concrete tanks. It'll be repainted. Emergency services, again, warranty on the exterior coatings. For this tank, there's no engineering fees. We never charge engineering fees for any of our services. So in just this tank alone, that's a savings of $23,000. I've got 4 engineers on staff. I don't need to charge you guys engineering fees because this is what we do. Set annual budget figure, there's no surprises, just like your other tanks. There's absolutely no risk for the city, okay? If you don't like the program, you can cancel it, okay? There's no long-term agreements or contracts that you're tied into.
Can you go back one, just
Yep.
for a couple seconds?
And I'll hit on this again a little later.
Okay, all right, you go on.
So here's your working fee schedule. So you're going to see two options. You're going to see the whole tank option, and you're going to see the roof only. Both these options were discussed with Brian and with Mark, and actually with Fletcher Holiday from EMI. So I'm going to show both of them. You'll see the tank name on the left. It goes year 1 through 10. The red is major work. So you see 1 and 10, you've got exterior renovations. Blue is a washout or ROV, and white is a visual. So you can kind of see where the fees are spread for 3 years, and they drop to what's called a base fee. The question that I always get is what happens in year 11? And the answer is nothing. That just continues on, okay? You never see those bigger numbers on the first 3 years again. We're responsible for the tank. Continue to keep the tank coated year after year. The bottom is the roof only, okay? That's just the roof, which is not the recommendation, but it is an option depending on the budget requirements. It's the same model, 3-year spread, drops to a base fee, and again, that roof will be painted in 10 years. So what I want to show you now is the cost analysis. So this is the exact same numbers, the traditional model on the top. So the one-time paint job, doing the whole tank, comes around about $65,000. And then that same price tag in 10 years is gonna be $88,000, we're just using 3% inflation. So if you add it all up, plus your inspections, doing the traditional model is gonna cost you about $191,000 over 10 years. Maintenance program, the exact same numbers I just showed you, same 10 years, same scope of work, but a lot more services. It's $140,000, so just this tank alone is $51,000 in savings, and you're completely protected with a full warranty under this program. So as I said earlier, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, and you're saving a lot of money, both short-term and long-term, and you're completely protected. Again, the benefits, we assume the risk, inspections every year with reports. Our reports are written by tank people, not somebody sitting in a cubicle. They're written by my engineers, my inspectors, myself. They're reviewed by operations. Tasks are generated from those reports if they weren't done on the job during the inspection, and then those tasks are followed up with visits for the repairs. Your costs are spread over 3 years, no cost to do that. Fees are fixed for 6. Total cost savings is $51,000. Your exterior renovation will be done every 10 years. Emergency services, lifetime warranty, budget figure. This is just a list of references, and I went ahead and put you guys on the top. You're your own reference. And then EMI is in there. They've been a very good supporter of ours and of the program because I think it's very beneficial for our customers. But to answer, the question I was asked at the very beginning of this was, Helen, Dahlonega, Cleveland, Baldwin, we're doing a lot of work with Department of Natural Resources. We've replaced all 3 tanks up at Black Rock State Park up in Clayton, Rayburn area because they've been let go to failure. This is just a partial list of some of the Georgia stuff, but like I said, we're all over Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina. So why partner with us? Again, we establish and maintain long-term relationships. The point was made, I've been working with Brian for over 10 years, and hopefully I've done something right. Again, we maintain over 1,402 tanks in the Southeast. Costs are spread, short-term, long-term savings. The biggest thing is just the professional service, asset management, and quality, and we provide quality work. We stand behind what we say and what we do. We're focused on customer service 100%. I am your representative and have been for the last 10 years, and I think Brian will say that I am available 24/7. He's tried me, he's tested me, and I think I've passed.
Well, if you're here tonight, you passed.
So I know for a fact we can properly manage this tank along with your other ones as we are currently doing and have for the last 10 years. I know it's a lot of information, but that's what I've got right now. Are there any questions on the condition of the tank, the recommendations, the cost analysis, or any of that?
Sure. There's probably people here that don't know where Bear Gap is. Can someone explain the location of where the tank is?
It's at the Orchard Golf Course.
Yep.
How many? This is one of the tanks that we got from Hampshire County.
Okay.
Now, how many tanks are they maintaining currently? They have 4 under maintenance contracts. Okay. 4 elevated, and then the other 3 they do washouts and inspection. They're not like on the maintenance program.
And what we proposed on this, like Massey said, is there'll be 3 payments of, I'm just gonna use a round number of $27,000 for these first 3 years. And then it's roughly $8,000 to $9,000 a year for 7 more years. And the work, the time that since I've been here and talking with Massey and Brian, and you go down to GMA, you will see American Tank set up in the conference down there. and see Massey and his guys. So they do a very good job. Brian, will you put the seal of approval?
Yes, I mean, like before we had Massey, then if we had a tank that had to be painted, sandblasted, we had to go get a loan for a couple $100,000, pay for it, and going with them, we could spread it out. They maintain it, they keep it, all the tanks look wonderful when you drive by, I mean, they take good care of it.
Even for the hospital, we have to ensure that with the hospital, with our tank being there, Massey has to give them a safety update every November, I think it is.
Every year we did the inspection, yes, sir.
And so, because that was a condition of the hospital to make sure the tank falls over, what happens, and he gives that full report directly, and they're on our email list with that.
Is this tank probably the one that's in the worst condition that we have?
It's the only tank not on this repair list, right?
Well, we have, one instead, it's not, they do the washouts, this in ground, so it.
And what's the other one, Brian?
It's a little small.
Because that's a plastic.
That's a carbon, fiberglass.
So
It's the
that's why it's
smallest.
not on there.
That was from Habersham County too.
And it sits on top of the mountain. If you ever, I mean, it's a gravel, big trail to get to.
This is a small tank, 75,000. So the Bear Gap, in my opinion, is gonna be crucial in the future, so we need to code it and take care of it. In my opinion, because, like he says, it's just deteriorating over the years. That was put on in 1999.
If you were to build that tank today, it's probably gonna be about $2.5 million. If you built a 500,000 gallon concrete tank today, and that's not including the lines, the valves, the meters, that's just the tank.
What about an elevator like by the hospital?
It depends on what size, but a 500, I just saw a 500 went for 3.7 million. And that is,
Think about that next time you look at that ladder. Those guys have to climb up, go back, up and over, and then they gotta climb all the way down inside of that tank with gear and stuff, and then come back out like that. Brian did it once.
First and last.
that's what most people say, first and last.
You will see in our 2026 budget, when we discuss this, you will see a line item for each of the tanks, and you will see Bear Gap, $27,000.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for your time, I appreciate it.
Guys, y'all need Massey to stay for our voting session.
I think Thomas has something to talk about education on his way out.
Just make sure. I think Thomas has, you going to talk to him? Okay. No, you're fine.
All right, next is proposed DDA director. Jim, your name is on this to discuss it. Sir?
We just jump into the meeting?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's work session. Oh, so we're, okay.
Do you have what I sent to you?
Yeah, you want to read?
I sent it to you because I thought you were going to read it.
Anyway. DDA is made up traditionally of 7, we're called directors. And we have been down by one. We have been interviewing a handful of people and have come up with a new person, Carrie Gomez. Carrie Gomez is living currently, her and her husband just bought the old Myers house across from the police station. They are empty nesters. Their children are grown, out of college now in a way. So it's just the two of them, but they have, she's been away in Florida for a while and whatnot, but has moved back to Habersham because of her parents getting older in Clarksville. They want to be there to take care of the parents. She currently works with the Habersham, or the North Georgia Medical Center.
Northeast.
Tell me what it is, y'all.
Northeast Georgia.
There you go. You deal with it every day. But that's where she's employed right now. She's a specialist of some sort that I don't understand. Not real medical minded, but she came and she sat and interviewed with us, and we we had some discussion time with her, and we just all had a good feeling about her. So we had, we made a motion, voted for her, and unanimously decided we would like to have her on the DDA as our 7th director. So in keeping with our bylaws, we now come before the council and ask for a vote for her to be placed as a director on our board.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
We're just gonna add one interesting fact. Her aunt and uncle, Craig and Julie Eddy, or Eddie West.
You remember Eddie West?
Haversham Plantation.
Right on.
Yeah. They founded Haversham Plantation back in 1970s. I remember watching Wheel of Fortune back when I was a kid, and seeing Haversham Plantation furniture advertised on Wheel of Fortune. They would go around and show all the stuff. I thought that was a cool plug to see the name of the area and the business on TV. It was big time.
Thank you. Right, next is discussion amendment of Lake Rainwater and Associates contract for City Hall.
Yeah, the first 2 pages is the original contract that for some reason myself and Brent did not sign, and we also didn't sign because we had initial conflict having to get another architect to finish it because the first person wasn't available. So really, the second 2 pages is cleaning up the agreement and the dates. The documents are due. There's no change in dollars. This one will be signed, and it is just clearing up the amount of time frame that they've met in their proposal now. They're basically waiting on us to tell us what to do and for them to start gathering bids if we so choose to.
Okay. This was originally approved back in May.
Yes. Yep.
Any other discussion? All right. Next is discussion of off-premises single event for Piedmont. What do you have on this, Mark?
Basically, Circle of Hope will be hosting the dueling pianos, and they want to be able to have vendors come and sell alcohol at that event. And so this is just like the process of them getting to be approved for this, because it must come in front of y'all.
Has anyone talked to Holden over something? Or
So they're
city?
supposed to do that. They're supposed to do that. I'm assuming they did, because we didn't require them to tell us. They were just supposed to do that.
I thought that's what our charter said is our
It's not the
people.
charter.
Well, not the charter.
But they were told the ordinances.
Right. Anybody
just said-
verify?
No,
I didn't.
No,
I did
no,
not
no,
ask them
no,
to do
no.
that. They were in this room and they heard the ordinance.
Right.
I think that we changed that ordinance. We go on the second page on your path, no, that page, 3rd page. At the very bottom, that was an adoption, and it says, it is certified to the city manager that there is no city licensee that can provide the service at the event and off-premises pouring permit may be issued. And I believe, it's my understanding that they did. So
And them writing the letter, I take it as they did for the ordinance.
It's on me.
Yeah, it's on them to ask.
Now, after the event, we find out they didn't, we'll deal with that.
Yeah,
I can verify with them, I don't mind asking.
we do want to promote folks in town, so. This is a couple of times this has come up. Do we need to vote on this every time?
Yeah, this is a little too ridiculous that we have to vote on every application that comes before us. I don't think when we voted for alcohol ordinance, the intention was to always come before city council for anybody that wants to do anything like this.
Y'all can amend the ordinance to provide this administrative, sign off by the city manager.
Okay.
When can we do that? Council, like?
You can crank out a full structure for y'all.
Okay.
Or off of them. You want to put it on special call, my bill, we have.
It just seems unnecessary to ask us for permission.
This is for their event and Circle of Hope, and we'll do one again, and it's on October 25th. All right. Let's move on to the rental agreement for all public facilities.
This again is involving Piedmont. We have some highlighted items in this when it came up from before. We don't give anybody using the facility keys. Typically, they'll come in during business hours, or the police officer will be called to let them in and to lock up the building. You know, it's no different than EDA having a meeting in here. We don't tell them to, just like anybody, we don't give them the security codes. They call Casey or James and request the officer come and lock up the building, and the police opens and secures it. But the real reason for this is, look at page 3, number C. Alcoholic beverages. No person shall possess, serve, or consume alcoholic beverages in the premises without written approval of the city or approval of any applicable local ordinances. They would like to have some type of event in here where they can serve alcohol. We would have to change this, which is the bottom basis of this.
Who would Piedmont?
Yeah.
In this building with all their assets?
Megan?
This be mine.
It says written approval from the city.
But it's changing our form too, though. Well, we can do that, but we either can or we
So
don't.
when we adopted the rental agreement, we adopted it as is with the thought of visiting alcohol after we looked at other options. So they've asked us to consider it during the first weekend of the house. I put Cornelia's agreement in there, so y'all can look to see, that was one of the things that y'all mentioned last time. Looking at what they offer.
It says that an officer is present.
And do you want to serve alcohol in this room? Because this stuff's not moving. That stuff back there is not moving.
What do y'all think about it? You got something you want to add on it?
I don't think we should be serving alcohol in the city building. Seems like Piedmont would have plenty of places on their campus to have something like that.
I don't know what they were looking to rent it for, but I guess they asked for some reason, right?
Yeah, I was looking to see if they told them.
All right, something to consider. Absolutely. Next is consolidated pipe invoice. Mark, I think you
We
said that we can strike this one.
Yes, there's been changes made to this invoice, and they are reworking that for Brian.
Okay, thank you. Next is, the Southern Prosperity contract.
Yes, this is with Brad Day. His, basically again, we're describing his payments of commission on the first 2 grants of GDOT. He can receive up to 6% or total grant amount not to exceed $30,000. And the first 2 grants were roughly 6 to 7 million, and he has been paid the $60,000 on those. And those 2 grants, for him to do the grant administration is 4% or the total amount not to exceed $45,000. This is all the monthly meetings he has to continue to go to, and it will take, I'm sorry to tell y'all, but 5 years to plan those two streetscape and design grants. So we're talking 2032 before the feds will fund those.
State,
I'm sorry,
state, right?
say feds. Feds and the state, these are fed funds. We got these again with the specialty term through GDOT. But there is one set of engineers that has this contract for everybody who got this grant. And this is the timeline laid out. It will not come faster than that, no matter what we do. And so he would have this agreement as part of him signing on to do that. And it is a ton of work every day. And with the setups going through, who's ever heard of a 5-year plan? Typically, it could be 12 to 18 months. And then he has 2 other grants that we have accepted, both for the park playground equipment. And so he is under that same clause with those, and also with he's given some options to pay monthly on the grant administration for those. So this is where all this comes in. This isn't any new money. This is money that we know. When you see budget 2, you will see a line item in budget number 2 for funding for there. And that's where I have these monies budgeted. We also plan to, we have started our fundraising efforts, and I will get out the flyers, and we have started setting up meetings to meet with corporate and individuals at this point in time. We will show a thermometer counting the grant monies that we've received and the monies that's been raised privately, roughly $800,000 that we have halved, and we're at 545 total in hand. So we will be seeing folks to make those happen. So really, again, he's just outlining these agreements. He is outlining on the, he did his annual assessments when we first hired Brad last year. He met with all of you. Here it is, here's tactical analysis. And this is where y'all will tell Brad what type of grants you want him to go after. And then he will take the majority of what y'all say and start looking for grants under those different categories, whether it's parks, police, streetscapes, anything like that. And then he has his normal fees for his compensation for writing the grants. And it's just not him just writing the grant. It's not just him getting approved, it's y'all accepting the grant. Because the terms could be outlined, we choose not to do that match. And he doesn't get paid for that. So he has done what he's been asked for by y'all, and he is ready to start meeting with department heads and staff and mayor and council.
So we've seen a lot of grants awarded this year, so that's good. Fees stay the same for next year in this contract now.
Yes.
What was the total of the grants that we had for the streetscape?
His total is like 9. There's 3 of them. We've only been approved for 2. And it is like $9.8 million.
For all
For the
3?
And I want to say, round numbers, I'm going to tell you we're at 7.5
Okay.
for the first 2.
Any update on the third one?
We're having to back up and punt, and GDOT is trying to fit us into another cycle of where to put that one.
Which one was that one?
That would have been the one right here on Central right here
Going all the way down?
to the bridge, going from right here. We've got the other 2.
Okay.
The reason it got kicked out the first time was where Piedmont's bridge is on the sidewalks, it narrows down, and people had some questions, so we had to pull it. Then once we answered their questions, they changed part of the program, and we didn't fit back into that cycle.
But I talked to them and they're trying to find us a place.
Yeah, they realized that it was just a fluke that we missed that because of those questions.
All right, any other discussion? Next is discussion of City of Baldwin water rates. We did receive a letter from the City of Baldwin that they are increasing per the CPI to go up 2.9%. And that starts on what day, Mark?
January first. They go up January first, and Tacoma goes up July first. Their new rates, the base rate is going from 255 to 262. The next tier is going from 265 to 273. The next one is going from 286 to 294. The fourth one is going from 308 to 317. And the fourth one is going from 3.32 to 3.42. When I say the different rate numbers is you're allocating so much water per gallon at this rate. As you continue to buy more water, it gets more expensive. So we do the same thing. We price our customers out the same way. And this is something that we know is going to happen every twice a year. And we have not updated some of the pricing costs on our side. And Fletcher will be having those numbers to us by November or December.
Have we already resettled Tool of Falls? I can't remember.
Yes.
We did, okay.
And we,
That was July.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a normal increase that we have.
Next is discussion of budget. We have how many budget meetings? This is the first.
This is the first of 3.
Okay.
Do we want to do this or do it up here?
We can do that. All right. No other things. We will take a 5-minute recess and then prayer and the pledge. Y'all pray with me. Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here. We ask that you bless us. We ask that you bless our community. We ask that you bless our residents and everyone that we touch here. We ask that you remind us that we are the heart of Habersham and make sure that we are the calm in the chaos. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Megan, do you have an extra pen?
All right. Thomas, you said that we need to amend the agenda in a certain manner. Do you want to state that manner?
Yeah, we need to amend the agenda, it probably needs to come right after the public hearing. I'm sorry, right after the approval of the minutes, to discuss authorization of intergovernmental agreement with the Habersham County for provision of fire and emergency services.
Thank you, sir. We also need to strike consolidated pipe. That's number 12. Go ahead and strike consideration of Habersham water rate. We already discussed that. There's no vote on that. All right, we need a motion to amend the agenda as stated. Motion. Thank you, sir. A second. All those in favor? All right. First, we have appearance and public comments. What?
As y'all know, we had an intern, been with us for a while. Jimmy asked if she could come up and speak today and tell what she's been doing with us, so.
Tell us your name again.
Here it is.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Erin Irvin. I am a senior at Piedmont University, and I am currently studying criminal justice. And I was asked to come up here today and give you guys some of the stuff that I've been doing at my internship so far this semester. So I've been with these guys since August, the middle of August, when I started school. And I have 3 different subpoints that I want to talk about that I've been doing so far during the semester. So the main thing I've been doing this semester is ride-alongs with the patrol officers. So I rode along with, so far, all the officers that we have employed here at Demorest. I rode with Officer CJ, Steven back there. I rode with the chief a couple times, Minatello. So during these, a favorite? I like all of them equally.
Who's the worst driver?
The worst driver? I mean, nobody. So during these ride-alongs, I get to see firsthand experience with calls like criminal cases, such as we had a couple DUIs that I've got to see so far. I've seen a lot of traffic accidents, and also a lot of medical calls. And also, I've got to rode with both the day shift and the night shift. So I rode with Officer Hughes during his entire night shift from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that was a good experience for me. Did I fall asleep? The first time. And so I've gotten to see how the police department and the firefighters and the EMS all work together in certain calls. Like I believe last week we had a medical call, so that was pretty cool to see how they all come together and help the person. And also I got to see how we work in conjunction with Habersham County, the sheriff's office, and other nearby departments, and when they come together and they have a big call. And so I've also got to learn the various functions and like the different buttons inside the police cars, so that was pretty cool. I like the sirens. And I've gotten to learn a lot of the 10 codes that I hear on the radio that I didn't know before, so that's pretty informative. And also I've gone to attend the court dates that we have. I believe there's one coming up tomorrow that I'll also be attending, so that's been pretty cool. I've gotten to interact with the judge, the solicitor, and also the probation officer, Chris Simmons. That has been very informative learning with him. And also, I've learned a lot of administrative functions too, such as copying, filing, and maintaining an organized storage system, like the evidence system they have at the department.
Basically, they've asked you to clean their office for them?
No, no, no. I watched them do it. Yeah. And I've gotten to learn how to do the monthly departmental statistics, so like how many calls they go on, how many traffic accidents, stuff like that. And I've also gotten to learn about how they apply for different permits, like the speed detection permit, and also how they revise and create different policies. So overall, I've gotten to see a lot more than the average person does on their internship. So I got to see like the not only the work side, but also learn a lot more about how they balance work and their personal lives. So overall, I've learned a lot, and I enjoyed it so far.
Well, thank you very much. I think that you need some extra credit for getting up for public speaking as well.
Very nice.
She'll be with us to the end of the year.
Okay, good. Good. So you gonna be trying to get another one, or it just happened that she asked?
She come to ask us and we accept her and she's done.
Will you tell your classmates, in case there's anybody else that wants to do this, please come forward. Brian had something, we had something from one of the sustainability classes with Brian learned about water. And there could be 2 or 3 people that want to come and intern with Brian also. Yeah. So thank you. Jimmy, great idea.
Thank you, Aaron.
Anyone else like to speak? All right, next let's open it up for public hearing. This is the public hearing for property tax. Thomas, you want to take that?
Cities advertise the possibility that due to various budgetary matters, there may need to be, they may not be able to do the full rollback, necessitating the requirement for 3 public hearings. This is the first one. So the floor is now open for discussion or comment regarding millage and budget.
And what you have before you right here is this chart. I know it can be hard to see, but it goes back and starts off and gives you 6-year history of the property tax digest of the city. Now realize that in 2020, real personal property was 36 million. And by the end of 25, it's projected to be 80 million. Now, how did that sucker double in 6 years? When you see these advertisements in the paper with all the different cities, I always look to see in that 6 year how much their tax digest doubled or tripled or 1.5 times. Because you start thinking, okay, 6 years, what's really been new built in Demorest? Or is it really just the market value of what your property now is worth that has driven that number to double?
Well, I think those of us who've gotten our assessments can answer that.
Well, that's just a big question. It's not a, we know the answer to that. And in 2020, the millage was 6.06. It was lowered in 21 to 5.16. In 22, it was raised to 6.16. In 23, it maintained at 6.16. And in 24 and 25, it has been maintained at 7.16. And in my budget number 2, that y'all will discuss shortly, I've got it with that budget being maintained at 7.16. It's about a $55,000 tax increase over all the properties and like an 8.9% increase. In budget number 1, when we get there, that is funding every one of the department heads' cost that they proposed, whatever their full budget was. And that's taking out roughly $1.3 million in water transfers. But in order to fund everything every department head asked for, these gentlemen would have to raise your mills from 7.16 to 15.95, 141%. 141%. So when we talk about budget number 1, if that's something you would like, please express your opinion. Budget number 2 will take the budget cuts that I and the department heads made and have lowered that budget down. And that is maintaining the 7.16. If you want a full rollback, it would take 6.593 to be the millage rate. Just to be, you may have an increase on yours because your property values went up, but the tax increase as a whole would be at 0.0, not 8.9, like 7.16 or 141% on the 15.95. So that's what I will be proposing in my budget, and these folks have the option to make any changes that they want to.
Thomas, what's the appropriate time to talk about those budgets? Is that during the public hearing now, or do we close that public hearing, or how do you want to do that?
If y'all want to talk about the budgets now, you can close the public hearing on the millage rate, and then you can amend the agenda to add the budget discussion right after, right before you approve the minutes.
Will you announce the times, or we have to do a total of 3 budget hearings and millage rate if there's going to be a tax increase. Maintaining at 7.16 is a tax increase of that 8.9%. So we would have our next meeting on
The 21st at 5 p.m.
October in here,
and then October 30th at 6.
in here again. So that's when you would be hearing about all this again. So. We could have, but we chose not to when we sent out the meeting dates.
All right. It is open floor for discussion about the budget. Would anyone like to step forward and talk about that?
But military.
About the military. All right, Thomas.
Close the public hearing.
Sir. Gentlemen, would y'all like to amend the agenda to add the discussion of the budget now or later in our agenda? Okay. So we have a motion to add the budget discussion right now. Thank you. Just right now. All those in favor? Very good. All right, so we have 3 budgets.
Yes. On their budgets that they have, I did a cover sheet that covered that. And it says fully funded budget from all department heads, in parentheses, 0 cuts. Tax increase will be necessary to fund this budget. This budget will propose a tax increase of 15.95 mils from the current tax rate of 7.16 mils. A house of $200,000 with a 40% rate would be paid $573 a year with a 7.16. A house with a $200,000 value and 40% assessed at 15.95 will pay $1,276. That's an increase in their taxes of $703. And there is a form in here called PT 32. It's another tax form that we have to fill out. And it states in there, the tax digest and the different millages, and that's where you get the percentage down there of 142% on that. When I go through the budget, and again, this is budget number 1, the income by the tax digest would increase from $471,000 roughly to $1.2 million with that tax increase. And that's where you would see the cost of the additional funds to be able to pay for those budget requests that each department head had. And that is using $1.4 million in the transfers. So I can go through this if y'all want me to continue through this budget, but if there's really not an option of this budget, I can go through it more detailed in budget 2, which is, I think, more realistic.
Yeah, I don't think it's a, option in this budget, I think it's good to see. It's good for comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we didn't advertise for anything like this, so it's just a comparison to what we probably will end up doing.
So, we started in August with Brian, Dave, and Casey, Megan, and myself with our budget. And we have a budget formula that we've used that I guess our CPAs created this template for. And it shows on there their previous year's budgets, so forth. So they take that and then they start going through and filling out their requirements. And then we meet and we go through it. And again, that's how I got to budget number 1. To get to my budget number 2, is I asked them to bring to me the budget cuts that they want, that they're willing to sacrifice. Because again, I don't have the funds to fund every bit of that. So, that being said, the budget income for the tax digest at 7.16 is $471,000 in 2025 and would go to $525 in 2026. And that's the amount of that 8.9% tax increase. And I've got at the bottom $1,408,000 from the water transfer. And that is a self-imposed number that our CPAs and auditors tell us we need to stay within. Years past, that number has been pushing $2 million. And then when that happens, we don't have the cash flow for the maintenance of the water and sewer. And that's something we have lacked the last several years. And we are investing that money back into the proposal y'all heard tonight with Massey and his company in maintaining the assets. Because without the water department and sewer, we don't exist anymore, guys. We don't exist. And so I have to reinvest, and that's what I've talked about since August of last year. And that we have an issue. I can give you the finest fire department, but I can't give you the finest water department. And if you want the finest fire department, that's fine. But I don't have any way to pay for it because we haven't maintained our water and sewer. That income is depleted. We're losing it in operational costs, etc. Tanks are falling and whatever the case may be in disrepair. So I take those numbers and so for the general fund revenue, I'm showing $2.67 million. So we go through each department and we'll start out with the administrative here, and that's a budget of 606 for the year. I go down to our police department budget. Casey had about a $880,000 budget. And I said, Casey, we gotta make some cuts in there. Please come with something. He came with something, and it's not the best thing, but it's the best thing for the budget and for where we're sitting. And he will be losing an officer in December who's going to work for another agency. And to cut out that salary of that officer and his health benefits will be about $67,000. And that's how I was able to lower Casey's budget to 809. And again, guys, if y'all want to fund that police officer's position, you just gotta tell me where am I getting $67,000 from to put it back in the budget.
Well, we're not leaving a hole in coverage.
We are not leaving a hole in coverage. We're having to move some folks around. And I will tell you straight up, this is a morale downer for those folks. But it's something, unfortunately, it's not my intent, it's nothing personal against those guys and ladies that work in our police department. It's just a factual situation. Y'all have told us, don't raise my taxes. So I then go to GCIC. They had a budget last year of like 135,000. We have moved some things around in that area also and made some adjustments for that budget now will be $115,000. So there's cuts in that one too. And one of the things, their income has changed dramatically from their projections in the GCIC over the last couple of years. Obviously, we've got certain duties that we have to perform, and we're able to run background checks for corporations, companies, or their employees, so forth. They used to, every time you had a also known as name, and you were getting your background check, you had 10 aliases. That company got charged 10 times for every alias plus your real name. And the state has changed the law. You don't no longer have to run the aliases. So now instead of getting 10 hits on there, you get one. So it has slowed down their business. Nothing that they did wrong, nothing that anybody has done wrong. And this is all something that the municipalities do. You can't call on companies to come let you be their person. That company has to pick up the phone and call that police station. So it's not like they can go out and make calls, sales calls to generate this. It's got to come through the door, through the telephone. And we're already having to do it, and they started this X number of years ago. Well, let's add some employees, not just here, and let's see if we can cover, not make 100%, because when we cover some of these expenses. And that's what they do. There's 3 ladies. Rachel is one of them sitting back there, and they sit at a desk and they file all these names and et cetera through this all day, plus deal with courts, plus deal with warrants. Because again, you got a warrant on somebody and they get hit in Atlanta, that Atlanta's got to call up here, hey, you still have a warrant on this guy. Guess what? Somebody's got to answer that information. At night, after hours, 911 does. But during the day, these ladies do. It's part of their task. So I had a pretty good class with Casey and Miranda and the other Rachel, and in understanding their job duties and their task. So, we made that cut to their budget. We get to the fire department, and they had a budget of 1.1 and some change. And when we had that meeting sitting right here, they came in that meeting with their paper, laptop, kit, and basically told me he could cut $5,000 out of small equipment out of his budget. And I said, okay. And Dave's budget was to hire 4 new fire department, 3 new firefighters, and make Lance full time. And his income, his salaries went from $450 to $625. And to have 3 to 4 firefighters on duty. And when they didn't have any budget cuts for me, that meant I was gonna make all the budget cuts because he didn't bring me anything. Like Casey brought me something and we did some things with GCIC. So this has been said since August of last year. We cannot afford this budget because Dave last year in his first budget offered $2.1 million. And at that time, the budget was $600,000. And I said, Dave, you gotta cut this, which he did. He brought it down to $1.1 million. And I said, well, I've got to cut it from here. And I brought it down to $792,000, which is about $150,000, $175,000 increase. And so I brought his budget down because those 3 new firefighters and Lance going full-time, we would not be able to do. So his budget actually went from $450 for salaries to $432 in there because he says one person will be not with us in January if we presented this budget. And, so his budget total is $725,000, which is about $70,000 less than his current budget. In that first budget and going to streets, we had a budget increase from Brian because we were reclassifying 2 employees from water into streets. And again, I've got to control my water transfers. When I made that budget move with Brian, it put us up about $162,000 in additional transfers because reclassifying those. So my cuts to them is roughly $163,000, but I moved those changes from the reclassification back to water and sewer. So total in here, you will see a budget cut of $67,000 on police, $379 on fire, and $163 on streets.
Who's the water department?
I'm sorry?
You cut
They have their own sections. I ain't got there yet.
streets, you cut back the capital outlays,
2, yes.
like 50,000.
Yes, thank you. This page here that's got the color on it, guys, this shows the DDA funds from the rental income, and it shows the expenses there. And the city transferred money to make the payment of 60% of the debt service on this building to the DDA, so they make this bank payment. And we take the 40% from water and sewer to the DDA to make the other half, or 40% of that bank payment. So that's where part of the transfers go to in that. We've got the SPOS funds in here. We're projecting $368,000 for the 12 months in 2026. It shows the expenses in here of $46,098 for the last police car payments through SPOS. And then it shows $94,461 for the last payment of the engine that is due in March, and Casey's last payment is due in August. And then I've got water capital outlay out of SPOS of $78,000, and capital outlays for sewer $150,000. And with that being said, I will tell you the capital outlays for water and sewer that y'all have seen and we discussed in our retreat. On the water, it totals $250,000. And that's just partially coming from here, from SPOS. Booster stations, and Tallulah Falls booster, Highway 105 booster, Highway 255 booster, Habersham Mills booster, water plant booster, iron ore booster station, and 5 new flow meters. Those are all requirements of things we should have done a long time ago. And the city has chosen over the years not to do those for whatever reason. The capital needs for our sewer plant is $310,000. There's 4 items: a compactor classifier influence structure of $175,000, a DO meters oral basin of $40,000, an influent flow meter of $85,000, and spare parts, pumps, and mechanicals for that of $10,000. You think about twice this summer, we had 2 pump stations go down with their motors. Pump stations are 25 years old. We should get 20 years out of those motors. Don't be that lucky. We got 25 years. And those 2 pumps were $60,000, and that wasn't something we had planned in this budget. Those are the kind of things we have to plan for in water and sewer to reinvest back into that asset that creates these funds. You'll see that when I tell you the total amount of income and expenses for those incoming. So, water and sewer. Water sales projections for last year was 6.4 million. This year, they're 6.9. We're putting in the ground about 175 new water meters a year. And that water meter is $3,085. So you do the math with that number. That's a huge number. And that money goes into a separate account now to go to reinvesting into our water, because that's the purpose of selling that meter, is to reinvest those funds. So we continue to buy additional pipe, pay other projects like this water that we can use that money just used to get all lumped into the main fund, and you really didn't know how much was from this section to that section. It was all just accounted for each month. The water installs fees are projected at $537,000. And Brian's guys go out. When you come in and request a water meter, we know there's water out there, but we must now fill out a form and send Brian and his guys to go out there to see. Or we're going to have to do a street tour. We're going to have to do this, or we're going to do this, so that we understand the additional cost outside of just that meter of $3,080. So that's something new, because we were just, if we had to go over and pay $1,000, we used to just eat. But that's a cost to that request of that meter. Cut on and cut off fees. You know, every time you get cut off, that's $40. You get cut back on, that's $40. And as April can contest that she's been with us for 3 or 4 weeks now, it's an emotional day on cutoff day, because everybody's got a reason why they got cut off. And the total revenue in here from the hydrant fees, which is another separate account, advances from SPOS, sewer install fees, is a total of almost $9.1 million in revenue, gross revenue for water and sewer. Now, going into the salaries of this, there's $224,000 in salaries. Brian, you have 17 full-time men counting yourself. So they do water, they do sewer, they do inspections, they're installing, they do anything and everything with that. And if it's 95 degrees, they're not reserving themselves, they're out there getting it from the morning time to whatever time the end of the day comes. And if it's cold, they're getting it. They wake up every day going, I don't want a sewer ditch or a water ditch if today's gonna be 20 degrees. They fight over who can be the first man in the hole. And Brian is right beside me, head high in. So, that being said, I showed again, it comes back, and this is where it takes the water transfer out of the water department to put it into the general fund. It is $1,408,000. And that is down from the budgeted amount from last year of $1,435,000. So if y'all want to take money from the water department to fund these other items, this is where it's going to come from. This one line item. So the debt service is in there. And we added the debt service for the new garbage truck of roughly $3,200 a month, and it comes directly out of the garbage fees. And so the garbage truck pays for itself with the fees that we have. So the administrative cost for this is $2.8 million. And the next round of employees, which is really the main ones out of the that first salary that I gave out, 223, that's from the administrative side. So that would be all the ladies that work in City Hall. And the cost for us to except the funds, attorney funds, employee benefits, computers, all those items. Now, this is where it gets good with Brian and his guys. Brian's guys are at a salary of $779,000, which is an increase from $737,000 in benefits. And this is on the bottom part of this page is where you would see the maintenance, repairs and maintenance. HCMC tank, East Mize, Bear Gap, $27,000. Garrison Road is still out of blank because we're not doing anything with the well over there. Everything is broken out to each one of these topics where Massey gets a check in his company for all their work they're doing. And that part of the budget for Brian and his guys is $4.8 million. On the sewer side, it's a much smaller number. My sewer budget is $938,000. And those salaries are roughly under $60,000 because we really only have 1 or 2 employees that work at the plant as an employee. We contract services with with Fletcher Holiday, who actually maintains that plant for us. Brian runs 100% of the water side, but we also contract with EMI for our water engineering services. So, capital outlays for that water is $310, just like I read off. The capital outlays in the other one is $250. But remember, I'm only getting $78,000 from SPLOST and $150 from SPLOST for sewer. So those other revenue funds to make those capital improvements will come out of the revenue from the water and sewer departments. And we have not done a good job in years past, unfortunately, in maintaining some of these things. We have done a very good job the last 2 to 3 years. And we've got a capital improvements plan. These items are listed. We have a retreat now once a year. We have 2 retreats. One is on police, fire, city hall, the other departments for one. And then we have just a all-day retreat for water and sewer. And we go over the needs assessments. And so the total water and sewer fund is $8.5 million with a net income of $545,000. So y'all would have to take $545,000 of the net income to add it back to do water transfers to come close. You wouldn't be able to fund all of the budget one with that, but and the tax increase. And this shows a total expense of all funds of 11.6 and an overall net income of all from that $545,000 to $582,000. And that is budget 2. 7.16 and $1.4 million for water transfers. Any questions? All right, budget number 3, I will give you that handout. Budget number 3, y'all will hear shortly a proposal of the amendment that was made for these folks to approve for Habersham County Fire Services. The same budget cover for number 3 says, this budget maintains the current tax rate of 7.16 mils. The difference is there will be no fire department numbers in this other than the one payment to Habersham County for fire services. So everything is exactly the same. I'll come back to the millage rate options, folks. But let's go to budget number 3. And in there, I'll come back to both of those. So the budget, starting with budget number 3. Revenues are all the same as budget number 2. And Go to page 3. You can see where I've got the check mark on the top that shows a budget of $535,296 Abercrombie County fire fee. So that fire budget would be reduced down to $535,296. And that lowers our general fund expense to 2.4. So with that, I go back to the first page of this, and I go to my water transfer. What I'm going to show you here is the savings and what the options are. That lowered my water transfer from $1.4 million to $1.2 million. There's a savings of $190,000 in that water transfer of that amount. If I take the current budget of $792 minus the $535 amount, we're in the savings somewhere around $200,000. If I take it to the $1.1 million that she asked for, it's a $575,000 savings. So you can look at either way how you want to compare the savings. And with that, I have prepared a millage rate option sheet here. Again, I'm going to go from a full rollback of 6.593, and all these will be with the same example of a $200,000 house assessed 40%. With that millage of 6.593, your increase in your taxes are 0. If I only roll back to 6.65, your tax increase is $4.56. If I roll it back to only 6.75, that's an increase of $12.56. If I take it back to 6.85, yeah, we missed that number right there. Is an increase of $20.56. If I take it to 7 mills, it's an increase of $32.56. If I take it to the 7.16, that's an increase of $45.36. If I take it from memory of the 15.95, that's a $703 tax increase if you wanted to fund everything. So there's options for council to make on the millage rate. And this week, for y'all, anybody wants to come see me at the office, and go through or look at the budgets with me, get you a copy of them, we'll be more than happy to do that. So that is your 3 budget items. And I'm prepared for any questions you might have.
Any questions?
May I ask a question?
Yeah. It's hard to hear you with the AC on.
Do I have to say my name and where I live? Okay.
I might know your name.
Patty Davis, P-A-T-T-I, 150 Connecticut Street. Mark, if people can't come up here to talk to you, is there a way that we can publish this so that they can get a copy of it? Okay, would that be on the website, Megan?
It'll be on the website after tonight.
So just give us some time tomorrow to
Okay.
get it up. But yes,
Okay.
they can call me, they can email me, whatever, anybody, suggestions or anything like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And all 3 will be on there with everything that I have given mayor and council.
Any other discussion?
Sure.
Yeah, that'll make me very short too.
Next next is approval of the minutes from September the 4th and September the 18th. It's under tab 10 of the packet. These were emailed out to you, so I'll entertain a motion to accept them as written or modify.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes, that were presented for these dates. Thank you, sir.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? All right, next is discussion of the IGA with Habersham. Thomas, do you want to run through that one more time?
I will. Again, what's before you is a final version of an intergovernmental agreement between Habersham County and the city of Demorest for fire protection services. This matter was on for the agenda last month for discussion. The county and the city have been negotiating the agreement at the senior level of staff, and we received the final version of the agreement this afternoon, a little after 5 p.m., and that's what is before you all. I ran through this during the work session. Mr. Mayor, do you want me to go through the full executive summary again?
Council, would y'all like me to go through it one more time? The highlights. Yeah, would you hit the highlights?
Sure.
Of the calls?
I'll hit the highlights. The county basically will provide fire and rescue services to the city. They'll provide the same or better level of service than that provided in the unincorporated areas. With regard to both staff, equipment, et cetera, they will assign an ambulance to the fire station facility currently within the city. We've been told that the intention is to move the office for the ambulance service from its current location to the city. The cost of this in the initial year is $655,396. There will be a credit against that amount each year in the amount of $120,000. That's $90,000 for the fire truck, basically like a rental payment or lease payment that's shown as a credit, and then similar lease or payment for the fire facility. The gear and equipment, there'll be a credit in year 2 for the value of that. That will be the value of that will be determined in year 1 through the use of those equipment in the radios. Increases for everything other than employment cost will be at 3%, the greater of 3% or the CPI. Increases in cost with regard to staffing and employment will be at actual cost, the actual budget amount the county allocates to that based on the budget that they provide. The city will transfer its assets to the use of the county. Ultimately, after the 5-year period, the fire truck will be transferred in total to the county, and the city fire personnel can apply for employment with the county under the whatever the county's personnel policies are regarding recruitment of new positions. It will automatically renew each year. If either party desires to terminate the agreement, notice to the other party must be given by June 30 of the year preceding the termination. Neither party can assign or transfer their interest in this agreement. And then the remaining items are typical contract boilerplate that most of us have seen in contracts like this that we've reviewed.
All right, thank you, Thomas. Council, y'all have any other questions for Thomas?
I got a question. Thomas, one of those in there is we would have to make the first payment on December 31st, 2025. That is our 2025 budget. We would need some modifications that we would make that like the first week of January or something, so it's totally coming out of 2026. So can you ask council to give up you and I some leeway to modify, in case I want to make a quarterly payment and not just a semi-annually right out of the box.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Council can authorize the mayor to execute the final version of the agreement with minor adjustments that don't affect the base facts that I just went through after further discussion with the county.
Council, how would you like to proceed?
Does the county commissioners approve this agreement
They're meeting in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks? So this is just a piece of paper. It's not an approved
They
agreement.
have, whatever their approval process is in their work session, they have,
A head nod. Head nod's not a vote.
they're not in a meeting yet. We're the first one to hold a meeting, and that's why we're doing it first. That's all I know.
The county has not approved this agreement.
This is their agreement that they proposed to us. Or council, how would you like to proceed?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we take the IGA with the modifications that you discussed about payment.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor to move forward with the IGA? All those opposed? Very good. Next is consideration of water tank maintenance cost for the Bear Gap tank. Council, do y'all have any other further discussions on this maintenance agreement? You have a couple options laid out in front of you. Option one, us keep the maintenance in-house. Option two, roof only. And option three of the almost $27,000 a year for the first 3 years, and then it drops down to $8,000, which I did notice is in the budget for that $27,000. How would y'all like to proceed?
We need to get that thing fixed. Pictures look pretty gnarly. Whatever option three, is called.
Okay, the $27,000 one? Okay.
Yes.
For the full maintenance program.
Full maintenance.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second? All those in favor to move forward with that program? All right. Next, the DDA has proposed a person to come on board. We need council approval on that appointment from the DDA.
Replacement.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Jimmy, I got yours first as a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion to approve Kerry Yeomans for DDA director.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor to move forward with Kerry? Very good. Next is consideration to amend the Blake Rainwater contract. This is apparently the same one that we approved back in May. This is just cleaning it up with the dates. Okay, very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor to move forward with that? Very good. Next is consideration of off-premises single pour event for Piedmont. This is allowing them to pour alcohol for their Circle of Hope dueling pianos event on Saturday, October the 25th at their theater. So this sounds like a nonprofit event. And they are asking for Freedom's Diner to serve that part of our policy, Jimmy, that you pointed out, is they have to ask a local venue. If a local venue turns them down, then they can seek someone else. And
I'll follow up with that to make sure. I'll follow up with that to make sure that they follow protocol.
Very good. We need a motion to go ahead and move forward with a single event pour permit.
Before we get into that, I think we need to get out of this coming to single events proposals for this type of thing coming to council. This should be an administrative issue. It should never come to executive level decision for single events. So I think that we need to work on something.
I've sent my paralegal a note to draft that ordinance for your consideration at the next meeting, the call meeting on the 20th, 21st.
Because we've heard this several times already.
Yeah, it was like yes. Yeah. I'll make the motion to approve this. It sounds like a good event. Circle of Hope is an excellent charity.
Yes, sir.
So hopefully people will come attend this on, event that's gonna be on Saturday, October 25th, 2025 is the Arundel Amphitheater. Starting at 4:30 to 8 o'clock. For doing managers. You got the whole motion?
Yes, we got the whole motion. Do we have a second?
Piano.
Yeah.
Did I say doing managers?
You did.
Oh, slip up. I didn't hear that, okay? Rap scratch.
I just thought maybe you knew something else that we didn't know.
Out here, it sounded like piano.
Doing banjos is something totally different. Doing pianos.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor to move forward with that? Next is consideration of rental agreement for public facilities. I think maybe you put together some things. Looks like Piedmont has requested to use this space.
What date is this? I mean, this is the
It's-
first time I'm hearing about
It's
this.
for April, March or April. I think it's a formal, but I looked for the email and I cannot confirm that, so I don't wanna,
But we'll tell y'all
Put
what
that
the
out
functions are.
we can table it and talk about it.
Yeah, okay,
no,
I'm gonna make a motion to table this, because I'd like more information, like what this is before I make any kind of decision on this.
Okay, we have a motion to table. We have a second. All those in favor to move forward with the table? Next is consideration of Southern Prosperity contract. This is for our grant writer. He is up for his annual contract. This is the same fees as we are paying him now. We need a motion to move forward with Brad Day's contract.
Make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor to move forward with the funding coordinator on grant writer's contract? Opposed? Okay. Next is manager's report.
You exceeded that.
What did you say, young lady?
You exceeded that.
you exceeded your time.
I will keep it short. We received a letter this week from Bo, Senator Hatchett, informing us of our LMIG totals for 2026. And we are getting a $4,700 increase to $41,500, which will give us, we will make a 30% match to that number, and that will be $12,500 in there. Donnie and I have been working with the dog park fencing guy, and we made a few modifications to the fence and layout, and he should be coming this week or next week to make that happen. And then Donnie has given me some signs of, and we'll be working with the sign person to have rules and regulations in the park. Starting this month with the Halloween and with Santa, those are two events that are going to happen in the park. And we will be utilizing the gazebo, especially for Santa. And Brian has started today. I know there's a lot of uncertainty about what y'all want to do, so we're going to make some minor changes to it. We pulled up all those hedges around it. Yeah, Brian, what did you find in those hedges?
20 snakes.
20 snakes. And Brian would shake the bushes there, hooking it up, and here they fall.
Let's not plant this thing.
We're not putting anything back, it's just pine straw. And we took down the railings and the hand railings coming up the stairs. And Brian has worked with Lowe's on, in stock, black wrought iron, not wrought iron, but they're like aluminum, just like our fencing that goes around it. And then they pressure washed it today, and they will paint it most likely the colors that we have in the park from the shed, one second, or from the police department or the pavilion. Yes, ma'am. I can't hear you behind the.
It looks 100%.
Oh, it does. I've got pictures for y'all to see. And Brian and his guys pressure washed, and they couldn't stand on the cedar shakes, pressure wash. So he's getting sprayed back. They're getting sprayed down as they're holding the ladder for him to these awkward angles. And then when they pressure washed the stone, it just totally changed the place. And thank you for that. And so we'll be working on that next couple of days, and you'll see a big improvement from a safety standpoint. We will make the lights work that are in there, and so it'll be a nice improvement, and it will stand out that they're not being covered up by the bushes. We will have a request. I do have a request from a property owner to close an unopened alley that's at the opposite end of Shawn of Walnut and Ohio Street. So they've sent me the letter, and Thomas will be bringing that forward.
What street is this?
Your street, Walnut.
I mean, what street? Behind me or?
On the other end, where it is those people who have the house for sale.
At the very end.
Yes, yes. And so Thomas will be following the law with the other property owners, et cetera. So basically, our water and sewer is in operation of good standing. We've lost the water loss count for the month. In gallons, I got it written right there, $778,000, and that's part of our ongoing maintenance. We'll be fixing and repairing these type of lines that we've lagged in. But we've had several the last 2 to 3 weeks, and a lot of overtime for our guys, and a lot of extra hours, probably another 30 to 40 hours in the last 2 weeks for Brian, and not to get paid. So I asked him to keep up with that for me, so that I do know and y'all can know with those kind of hours. We did 61 million gallons in water sales, and this is the month of August. And so you think about how hot, how dry, and it's 47 million gallons from Baldwin, 7 million from Toccoa, and 7 million out of our one Mize well. And Edwin is getting close on his fire hydrant servicing and painting. In the month of August, he did 120 of them, from top to bottom, all by himself. Brian, how many are you guessing we have left?
Just in the city.
Just in the city. And he's gotta get them finished before the dew really starts getting bad, because he'll be there half a day waiting for it to dry and in the cold. The fire department had 77 calls for the month. That's 2.56 for the month. And police had 457 calls, and they did 174 traffic stops and issued 87 citations. You do the quick math, that's 50%. And 7 arrests. And financially, we're in great shape. Our total cash overall is 3.5 million. As of August 31st, our cash as of today is 3.6 million. Operating cash today, being in the general and the water, is $702,000. And operating cash through today is $828,000. You can look down below and see we now have made it to 4.1 months of liquid. Liquidity is based on total cash. That means we have 4 months. If another dime never came in, we can pay all of our expenses. And the goal is 3 to 6 months.
It's been a long time since we've been.
Yes, it is. So that was very good news to go from 3.8 in July to 4.10. That is a huge number. So with that, expenses and income for the departments of water and sewer are all in line. We're directly on budget. We're ahead in the income. And when I like to say we're ahead of expenses, meaning we've got savings. We haven't hit our budgets of expenses where we have saved that cash. But in 2026, whichever budget y'all go with, we'll be using some of that cash on hand to do these projects for the capital needs of water and sewer. So there'll be some changes with that. And with that, I will defer back to you there, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. You have any questions? All right, next we'll open it back up for public comments. Would anyone like to step forward and speak? Do we have anything else to go into executive session for?
Yes, sir.
Council? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, sir. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor to adjourn?